we are kicking off this new director series with Martin Scorsese. Now, this new director series is each week I will be dropping a new video talking about a different director and recommending 5 of their films that I feel are underrated or kind of go against what the director is generally known for. Now, starting off with Martin Scorsese, I feel like he is a fantastic director. Everybody knows who he is, but I feel like most of his body of work is very versatile, but he's mainly only known or has this reputation for only ever doing gangster films or crime films. Such as Goodfellas, Casino, Irishman, The Departed, films of that nature. And again, I love his work when he does those grittier gangster films, but I feel like there's so much more within his body of work than just those gritty gangster films. Even like Taxi Driver, for example, isn't necessarily a gangster film, but it's a more gritty, dark look at New York City. However, these 5 films I'm picking out today are films that are different from his norm or different from what he has been expected of from the director. First up, we have The Age of Innocence, which came out in 1990. This film is now available to stream on Netflix, and this is, unlike a lot of his films, is rated PG. Next film up is The Last Temptation of Christ from 1988. Again, this is a film that is heavily, which is a film about Jesus Christ, but it's more so a film that Scorsese feels that kind of gave into his more religious views, because he is a very religious person. If you watch some of his interviews, he always talks about religion being a very big part of who he is, and even went on to make the film Silence in 2014, I believe it was 2015, with Andrew Garfield. That was about the spreading of the word of Jesus Christ through various countries around the world in the early. I don't know the time frame exactly, but in the earlier times before Christianity was widely spread across the world. The next film up that I recommend from his collection is Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore, another film that he made earlier on in his career before he really became known as a director of more dark and gritty films. And then, of course, we're going to follow that up with After Hours, which came out in 1985. Again, this is another one of his 80s films that we get to see New York City, but not in the same limelight that he generally portrays it through a lot more of his dark, gritty crime dramas. This is more of a lighthearted, almost like a comedy drama, or like a dramedy, about a office worker named Paul who has this crazy night when he tries to escape his mundane life of his 9-to-5. And last but not least, I want to recommend Bringing Out the Dead, starring Nicolas Cage. This is the 1999 psychological thriller, medical drama about a paramedic who is pretty much on end's wit after he loses somebody on a call. So Again, it's a darker, grittier film, but it's a lot different than, you would generally see from Scorsese. Because usually he does more crime dramas, where this is more like a psychological thriller about a paramedic, on the verge of a breakdown after being overworked and losing a patient. So these are 5 films that I recommend to check out from Martin Scorsese, who is a legendary director whose work is well known and very versatile, I guess you'd say. The reason why I decided to pick him as my first in this new director series is simply because I actually just watched After Hours last night and absolutely loved the film. I kind of decided to pick Scorsese because, again, after watching After Hours, it's a film that is completely anything like what Scorsese has become known for. Again, he has done other films, films in which that show that he's a very versatile director. A few films I didn't mention, but definitely show his ability to be very versatile and do films of various different genres. Would be films like Aviator, starring Leonardo DiCaprio. You have Hugo, starring Chloe Grace Moretz. So again, he does a wide variety of films, but I feel like a lot of people kind of put him in this box of only doing gritty crime dramas. Join us next week as we talk about another director and point out 5 films from their filmography that everybody should check out. What is your top 5 Martin Scorsese pictures? Comment below, let me know.